The NFC West may have just been reduced to a two-team race with 4 games left. What is going on, everybody? Good morning. It's Victory Monday. Seahawks won another game. Seahawks won their 4th game in a row, and they maintain their lead at the top of the NFC West. And that statement is starting to get more and more meaningful because we're getting closer and closer to the end of the season. We only have 4 games left, and in a division that's been very competitive pretty much all year, we're getting down to it. So I thought I'd go ahead and start the week off just talking about the division broadly, just taking a look at how I see it. And some of this stuff kind of gets covered in the rooting guide, especially the post-mortem. But I know a lot of people aren't that into the rooting guide stuff, and they would only care about stuff in the division. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of move that out to this separate video for this week, and I'll continue to do it going forward if I feel like what is going on in the NFC West merits discussion in that manner. So, all 4 teams in the NFC West played yesterday. 3 of the teams won, 1 of the teams lost. So we're getting a much better idea of what's going on in the division now. You can see the standings on the screen. Seahawks lead the way with an 8-5 record. Rams are 1 game behind that, and the Cardinals and Niners are tied a game behind the Rams. So let's go through the remaining schedule here and see what it's going to take. What is it going to take for these teams to get to the top? What kind of challenges do they have left? Before I get into this, though, I want to say real quick, I hope you like this video. If you do, please click the like button down below. Helps the channel out. Subscribe if you're new, and click the bell for notifications. Become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to help support the channel. Okay, so I think we all pretty much know what's going on with the Seahawks. They obviously lead the division, but if you look at their remaining schedule, it's one of the more difficult ones, probably in the whole league. You've got 2 really good teams coming up, 2 likely, almost certainly playoff teams. You've got the Packers, you've got the Vikings. Then you've got the 1 bad team left on your schedule, and you're playing them on the road on Christmas, Thursday night, in Chicago, where the weather could be a complete disaster. Like, I know that Bears team is bad, guys. I know. Yeah, the Bears are really bad, but you know what else could be bad? The circumstances. So even that is not something I'm looking at as a layup. And then you end the season on the road against the Rams. So it's pretty easy to see where the obstacle lies for the Seahawks. You've got a difficult last 4 games. Now, I'll say this. It's possible that the Packers are getting by on vibes and aura more than they are actual track record this season. Like, you look at the Packers this year, they've beaten 1 genuinely good team, Houston. Now, they should have beaten Detroit last week. They got completely hosed, but they didn't win. And they've had chances. They had 2 chances to beat the Lions, didn't do it. They had a chance to beat the Vikings, didn't do it. So maybe the Packers are just a decent team and not a great team. It's possible. And you do get both of those games at home. You get the Packers and the Vikings. By the way, the Vikings kind of look like they've righted the ship. They skated by for about a month and a half after the Christian Darrisaw injury, and now they might be kicking it back into gear. Well, we'll see. We've got another game between now and our game with the Vikings to try to measure them. Could easily be an indictment on the Falcons that the Vikings blew them out. But you're looking at this stretch of games, these 4 games, and you're thinking the expectation should be 2-2. One way or the other, you win 2 of these games, and then you drop 2 of them. Maybe the goal should be 3-1, because you should also always be trying to overachieve, but 2-2 should be like your expectation, where if you don't get there, you're dissatisfied. So that would put you at 10 wins, which I definitely think would be a successful season for Mike Macdonald's first ever head coaching job. So I'm down for it. I'm ready for it. So I said in the intro to this video, has the NFC West been reduced down to a 2-team race? Obviously, the Seahawks would be one of those 2 teams because they're currently in the lead. So let's take a look at the next 2 teams. First, the 49ers. I think this one's easy. They're sitting at 6-7, so they basically need to win out. I don't think you're winning the division with 9 wins. One way or the other, you need 10. So the Niners need to win out, and I'm sorry, they don't have an easy game left except maybe Miami. And I don't think that's an easy game. I mean, Miami's flawed, but I don't think that's a layup, especially on the road. They've got Thursday at home against LA. They've still got Detroit on the schedule, and Arizona is not going to lay down and just die either. Even if they're eliminated by that point, I don't think they're going to roll over and die. So the Niners are easy to dismiss. If there is a way to back into the postseason, or excuse me, the division title with 9 wins, then I guess that makes things a little more interesting, but you're still trying to thread the needle here because, you know, this Detroit game, this Monday night Detroit game, feels like you can just write in a loss and move on. So then you need to kind of run the gamut against the Rams and Cardinals. And I just don't think that's very likely. Remember, this Niners team has already lost to the Rams and Cardinals this year. Now, I know circumstances have changed. I know those games were very close. But the Niners are just too flawed of a team this year to realistically expect everything to just start pouring their way here at the end of the year. So, obviously, they're not actually out. But I think if you look at the remaining schedule and you understand what they need to do, then it becomes very clear that there's just no real way that it can happen. So, Niners feel like you can cross them off. Cardinals, they're in the same position as the Niners. They need to win out. Now, you take a look at the schedule, they could. They have 2 layups coming up. They have home against New England, road against Carolina. Those are 2 easy wins. Should be able to punch those in, even if they're not playing that well. So, we're going to be sitting here in 2 weeks, almost certainly talking about an 8-7 Cardinals team. And then they get the Rams, who they murdered in week 2. They blew them out, blew them off the field, 41-10. And then they get the Niners, who knows what the state of the Niners will be at that point. So the Cardinals have the ability to win out, which would put them at exactly 10 wins. But even that may not be enough because the Seahawks have basically a 3-game lead. Because they have the 2-game lead as it stands, and then they have the tiebreaker, guaranteed. So if the season ends with the Seahawks and Cardinals both with 10 wins at the top of the division, Seattle's got it. So winning out may not even get it done. You could win out, and by the way, as Seahawks fans, I think we kind of want them to win out, because we want the Rams and, I guess, the Niners to lose to them. Maybe the Niners one doesn't matter as much. The Rams one really could, though. You're good, right? So the Cardinals would need the Seahawks to lose 3 of their last 4 and win out, or hope for some crazy 3-way tie at the top of the division where maybe they can win some sort of rock, paper, scissors battle with the tiebreakers. So it feels very unlikely the Cardinals can jump the Seahawks in any way for the division. I'll say that. Not saying it's impossible, of course, but a lot would have to go wrong for the Seahawks, and the Cardinals have no room for error. Or they need that super weird tiebreaker scenario to come up, which I don't want to completely rule out because the Rams, after what happened yesterday, tragically, are now a much more prevalent part of our plans for the rest of this season. If they had just lost like they were supposed to, it would be looking really good. The Rams would be 2 games back, and with the remaining schedules, there would be a real chance that Week 18 game would mean nothing. But Now you take a look at the Rams. They're one game back. They have the tiebreaker for the moment and are decently positioned to own it, even if we beat them in Week 18 potentially. They're going to be annoying. They're going to be sticky. At the very least, we're going to have to sweat this out because they get the Niners on the road this week on Thursday. And look, the Niners beat the Rams a lot, right? The Niners, historically, Shanahan has owned McVay. So maybe the Niners want to do us a favor here, get the win, put them down, and maybe get us to a point where we don't even have to think about that Week 18 game as much. But remember, a much more injured Rams team already beat the Niners earlier this year. So I'm certainly not promising anything. And then they get the Jets. Jets can't win a game. Jets are finding very creative ways to not win games. And then Cardinals and Seahawks. And the way the Rams are playing, the way they just beat Buffalo, the way they just went toe-to-toe with Josh Allen playing the game of his life, and the Rams just said, hey, do whatever you want to do. We're still going to win this game. You have to wonder if maybe they're turning it on. Because the way the Rams played in that Buffalo game, I know they gave up the 42 points, and I know offense and defense both have a lot of importance. I get that. But that was better than anything the Seahawks have done this year. Beating Buffalo, scoring 44 points on Sean McDermott, that's better than anything we've done. That's better than anything I think the Cardinals or Niners have done this year. Now, obviously, that's not who they actually are. They're not going to play at that level every week, but you get what I'm saying. They might be building some momentum here. So you look at it, you consider the fact that the Rams have something of a free win against the Jets coming up. And then you look at the Seahawks schedule and you remember that it's going to be tough. It really feels like we're just destined for a Week 18 game to decide the division. And that could be even if Seattle wins 2 of their next 3. Even if they beat Green Bay and then they beat Chicago and maybe they lose to Minnesota, still, it could be a game for the division. It could still be a game for a playoff spot. There is a little bit of a backdoor into a wild card. Maybe Washington fades, but that's going to be very much left up to chance. And Washington has probably banked enough wins already to find their way in. So I'm really, unfortunately, I have to say it, it's looking like it's going to come down to Week 18 in LA against the Rams. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not. You know the Rams are going to get every call in that stadium. And while we did play very well against them earlier this year, and we should have beat them, I mean, we didn't. We didn't beat them. So how excited am I going to... How hyped can I be about that scenario? You've got a Rams team that loves to attack opposing offensive lines in ways that the Seahawks occasionally struggle with. And by occasionally, I mean frequently. I wish it wouldn't come down to this. I wish there was another way. I wish maybe there was a way for the Rams to just be done before this game starts. Or maybe there's a backdoor into the wild card spot. But this is how it's going. So that's a quick look at the division. Just wanted to go ahead and lay everything out in a very kind of what would be the right word? A very generalized way. Just wanted to go ahead and establish what we're looking at here. Yes, the Niners could still win it. Yes, the Cardinals could still win it, but it's starting to really look like you only have to think about one team. There's one team we really need to slip up and take some embarrassing losses here. It's the Rams. And if the Niners and Cardinals have to win a couple of games to hand the Rams those losses, then sign me up. All right. So we got a game tonight. We got the Monday night game. And then the next game we see, we are big, big Niners fans for 3 hours. Thursday night, we are big, big Niners fans. All right. Let's see what happens. Talk to y'all later. Go Hawks. More videos coming soon, but just wanted to start the morning off this way.